welcome back to Mondays with Mom, the podcast where my mom, Leah,
Hi.
and I, Jo, dive into her stories, experiences, and the lessons she's hoping I finally take to heart. My mom has always joked that her life should be a book or a movie, and honestly, she might be right. I've spent my whole life hearing these stories, and I think they're too good to keep to ourselves. So we're sharing them with you, one episode at a time. Right, Mom?
Right, Joey. Thanks for that.
So, Mom, what's the story this week?
Well, I've still been chatting to everybody because I'm not over the hype yet of our trip to see Pitbull in Ireland.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. I have to admit, guys, for a very short period, I did the bald cap. And then to keep my dignity intact, I switched over to a cowboy hat. Now, this Pitbull concert was in Ireland. Jo got Tina and I tickets as a gift because although Tina and I are real Pitbull fans, Jo is what I'd call a super fan.
Dale.
There we go. And she really worked hard to get these tickets because you all know when you go online and try buy tickets to a concert, literally as you go on and it says it's your turn, you haven't had a chance to actually navigate the screen and the tickets are sold out, which is what happened with the London concert. And Jo managed somehow to get us tickets to Ireland, which meant that if Jo, Tina, and I went to Ireland, we would need someone to look after Mickey for us. Now, for those of you who haven't yet listened to our Oh Mickey, You're So Fine episode, Mickey is a really cute doggy. He's my grandson and he's an influencer. And he really needs someone to look after him. He's got his special needs and desires. And we are fortunate enough to have a friend of Tina's, not just a friend of Tina's, I'll explain further, but we're fortunate enough to have Nikhil looking after Mickey. So shout out to Nikhil. Tina met Nikhil when she was at uni in South Africa. They were both studying the same degree. They met in first year, formed a little bit of a study group with some other friends as well. And next thing we knew, COVID hit. So during their second year, this support group continued and they would be helping each other by chatting online, chatting on the phone, on WhatsApp, while they were going through their pre-recorded lectures together. And slowly, other people in the support group or the study group started doing their own things. Some of them like to study at different times. But for some reason, Tina and Nikhil would study together. I think the real reason is that Tina was bossing him around and he was too scared to resist. And Tina and Nikhil were studying together. And this is why I'm explaining why I can't just call Nikhil Tina's friend, because Nikhil and Tina were on the phone all day. And being COVID and me being a nice, overprotective Greek mom and wanting to know that my children are fine, I would go into Tina's room regularly while she was studying. And after a while, I would forget that Nikhil was on the phone. And I would come in and maybe complain to Tina that I think I've got more cellulite than I had before, or come in and say something equally personal. And it got to the point with Nikhil, having heard some of these things, that I was only left with one of two options. Nikhil had more information than what I would have liked him to have, so I could either adopt him as an honorary member of the family, or I had to kill him and dispose of the body.
You're so funny and also so dramatic.
Well, these things are important. And the fact that I've mentioned now that Nikhil was looking after Mickey lets you know which option I picked. So Nikhil, you know this.
Shout out.
Shout out once again to Nikhil. And while Nikhil was looking after Mickey while we were in Ireland, every now and then, which he knows about this, Tina will complain that Nikhil may leave a table out of place or a chair out of place or rearrange her whole apartment while she's not there. And this time, he called us up just before the Pitbull concert and said, Tina, there's a problem. And she thought, what did you do now? What item of furniture have you rearranged? And he said, the microwave has stopped working. And initially, I was devastated because, as you'll find out, that wasn't just a simple microwave. That microwave had a real story to tell.
It had a lot of history.
Definitely. So just to give you a little bit of background, both Tina and Nikhil completed their undergraduate degree in South Africa, and then both decided that they would go to London to do a master's. And while Tina was studying her master's, Jo, you were looking after Mickey for her. Because Tina stayed at res, so it was impossible to have a dog, and also it was just too difficult with lectures, whereas here in Greece, Jo could look after the dog together with her dog Zoe, and I could help out wherever possible, which was often possible. And once Tina and Nikhil had finished their masters and they both started working, then Tina got a job, Nikhil got a job, and Tina found an apartment. And I am making the finding the apartment sound simple. It was not simple at all. It took prayer and sweat and tears, and without her godmother, Rosanna, shout out to you, Roz.
Shout out.
We wouldn't have been able to find this apartment because one of our many needs beyond the position and the size and the space was also it needed to be pet friendly and in a certain budget. And this apartment was semi-furnished. So it had a bed in it, it had a fridge, it had a washing machine.
The barest of essentials, basically.
The barest of essentials. And it had no furniture other than the actual bed. And I just explained to Tina that I would bring anything I could from Greece. I would bring her bedding. I would bring her cushions. I brought her dog. So I came over from Athens and I brought Tina clothes that couldn't fit in her res room. I brought her cutlery, crockery, pots, pans, anything that I could carry in a suitcase just to help her out. But the apartment was still quite bare. And the rent of the apartment was quite high, a lot more than what we were ever used to paying. We had never rented a flat in London. And I had explained to Tina that, listen, we'll all do what we can. Let's see how we do with the rent. And in terms of the furniture, I had told her, because I thought, little did I know, I had said to her, maybe the next trip I come, we can go past IKEA because I considered their furniture sturdy and reasonably priced. And I said, maybe I can buy you a few things from there. In the meantime, I made some suggestions like, I don't know, we can put out some cardboard boxes that we empty and you can sit there in the meantime. And this didn't really sit well with Tina, who wants everything done perfectly.
And on her time.
And definitely on her time.
Which is a lot faster than mom's.
Totally. And Tina introduced me to Facebook Marketplace. So up until that point, I was obviously aware of its existence, but I'd never ever used it to actually buy anything meaningful. So Tina ignored me and all my comments about IKEA. And when I got back to Athens, she started looking on Facebook Marketplace. And anyone that knows Tina will know that if she buys furniture, and especially if it's going to be secondhand furniture, she isn't going to buy something that just looks like a couch. It's going to have to be a designer-looking couch that some famous movie star would want to put in their home. And Tina searched high and low for the couch. When she eventually found this couch that she was happy with and decided that this would fit into, what would she call it? She'd say, Mom, it needs to fit into my aesthetic. And the couch she found, which was the one, was in Wembley. Now, all I'm going to tell you, because I looked it up on Google Maps now, is that from Tina's home to where this couch was a 54-minute ride with public transport, which is all good. And then I shifted over and just saw what it would be like if you had to walk, and it was 3 hours and 38 minutes of walking.
Easy peasy.
I don't know if Tina had actually thought about that or if she thought that she would take the couch back with her on public transport until she got to the place, paid for the couch, and saw the size of the couch, which is quite a nice, substantial size. Jo, you've slept on it a few times.
It's a really nice couch, to be fair.
So when Tina went to go pick up the couch and took public transport, she asked Nikhil to come with her because it is sometimes a bit weird when you're buying things online. You're not quite sure who you're buying from. You need to make sure it's not a scam. You need to feel safe. And she thought if she's got a friend with her, this would make all the difference. Now, you might be asking yourselves, okay, you've gone there, you've seen the couch, you like the couch, you buy it. Why not just get some transport company to deliver it to your house? When Tina looked at the cost, it would have cost 3 times the price of the couch to have it delivered to her house. And she thought, there is no way, because she was not going to use my plan in the meantime of the cardboard boxes. She wanted to have this place fully furnished. And somehow she managed to rope Nikhil in as well and said to him, listen, Nikhil, this is not going to be so bad. We'll just walk with the couch back home. I mean, it's just a small, simple 3-hour and 38-minute walk.
Carrying a couch.
Carrying a couch. So they picked up the couch and they walked, and they're both quite strong. Both go to gym. They must have managed to walk about 20 minutes with a couch, which is pretty good. Then they would collapse, put the couch down, and lie on the couch, sprawl on the couch and rest.
Yeah. Shout out to Tina, by the way, for having this kind of crazy idea and thinking this is normal.
Yes, and again, that goes back to one of my previous episodes where I explained that Tina was my physically capable child. Sorry, Jo.
No comment.
And needless to say, people were stopping to stare. I mean, this was the weirdest sight. This woman and this man walking around with a couch, and every now and then putting this couch down and lying all over it. And I would tell you guys that I can only imagine how funny it was, but I did more than imagine, because every now and then Tina would send me photos of the two of them and videos. And I found this absolutely absurd and hysterical at the same time. And I'm sure I wasn't the only one, because cars were driving past them and watching them, and a car drove past them, which they didn't notice, and happened to come past a second time. And I'm sure by then they had progressed a substantial distance of at least 40 meters, and this car stopped and asked them if they needed any help. Now, I think that in itself is a rarity, because people in London generally look the other way and mind their own business. They don't get involved in other people's business. That is reserved for Mediterranean nations such as Athens.
Yeah.
Where in Athens, you generally contact your neighbors to find out what's happening in your own home, because they tend to know more about it than you do. That is the Athenian way.
It's like that song where you say somebody's watching you.
Absolutely. And except it's not just somebody, it's lots of people are watching you at all times.
And commenting to you about it.
That's true. But back to our story, this good Samaritan in his fancy car actually stopped and offered to help. And he attempted to open up his boot and put the back seats down in his car, but it was a fairly new car. He hadn't been driving it for a long time, and he couldn't get the seats to go down. And so he apologized to them and drove off. They were devastated, but they picked up their couch again, probably had progressed another 50 or 100 meters, and this guy came back again. Or maybe they had progressed more. Sorry, Tina and Nikhil, I don't want to make you guys sound slow. So when he did come back again, at this point, he had gone away, managed to figure out how his car seats worked, and again offered to take them back. I mean, it was difficult not to be suspicious. Who does that? And so eventually they managed to load this couch into his car, and I'm sure he was flabbergasted when he heard where they were going. So he told them he will take them as far as he is going up until that point, or close to that point. And they were really, really grateful, because any help at that point was great. And so they started driving, and eventually he said, listen, don't worry about this. Let me just take you to where you're actually taking this couch. And literally, he drove them for 1 hour and 10 minutes. So you can only imagine how long this would have taken them on foot.
Yeah, that was a really nice thing for that guy to do.
Really, really nice thing. I don't know the guy's name, but if you ever listen to this podcast, I'm shouting out to you, and I'm really, really grateful that you did that. So now, going back to the microwave, once this apartment had a couch, and slowly or quickly, according to me, Tina started buying armchairs, other furniture, and I looked at this child. I was actually so proud of how much she had managed to do on her own, and I thought, anything I can do to help, I will. At this point, money was not an option because I think we had used most of that up. And I realized that in Athens, I had two microwaves, two identical microwaves. One that I had bought for my dad when he initially threatened to come and live in Greece permanently, and one that I had bought for Jo when she was at Res. And these two microwaves were identical. And I thought, what am I going to do with two identical microwaves? Jo only needed one. And so I thought the second one, I'm going to kind of do what Tina did, but I'm not going to carry it in my hands. I'm going to take this microwave from Athens to London.
A completely normal decision, just by the way.
Okay, Jo. Well, I got a lot of flack from it, from the whole family. People were telling me, why don't you just buy her a microwave? And it was hard to say to them, which I didn't, that, listen, if anyone is prepared to donate one, that would be great. But I kept telling everybody, I have two. Microwaves are expensive. Why would I spend money on another microwave when I had one sitting around? So I did all my research. I checked airline regulations, and on the list of things you're not allowed to carry on a plane, I couldn't find microwave listed anywhere. So I thought, well, I'm going to take it on a plane. And there was no way I was going to put this in my checked luggage because I'm not sure about everyone else. And again, obviously, I'm revealing my age, but microwaves came out in the 60s and 70s. And when they did, although they were amazing and revolutionary, everybody was really, really scared of microwave radiation. So you would put your stuff to heat in the microwave, you would turn it on, and then you would reverse about 10 meters, make sure you weren't receiving any radiation that you shouldn't. And when the thing dinged, you would stay back still, give it a minute, and then cautiously creep towards it and open the microwave door. Grab your item and stay as far away from it as you could.
Well, Mom, I'm sure microwaves are a lot more advanced now and a lot less dangerous than they were when they came out in the 70s.
Absolutely. I mean, with the new safety standards and microwaves have evolved, but there's always this little bit of something with microwaves where people say the door, make sure the door seals work perfectly and make sure there's no leak and if anything's cracked. And I thought, I have seen what my suitcases look like once I hand them into the airline. They come back. There's usually one wheel missing. The whole suitcase has gone skew. I've seen people fling suitcases around. So I thought there is absolutely no way that I'm putting my precious microwave onto checked in luggage. I'm going to take it as hand luggage. Stop laughing, Jo.
Completely normal decision, as I said before.
So I went through all the various carry-on bags we owned because it isn't easy to fit a microwave into a carry-on bag.
You don't say.
Yes, but I managed. I eventually found, because I wasn't going to spend any money on this. If I was spending money to buy a bag to put the microwave in, then I was defeating the purpose. This was going to be done in an economical way.
The things that Greek moms do for their children.
Oh, thank you, Jo. I'm glad you're acknowledging that. And I was teased mercilessly by everybody in the family and all the cousins. But anyone that knows me will know that once I am determined, and especially if I'm doing it for one of my children, nothing can stop me.
Leah perseveres.
Leah perseveres and she sees it through. Now, I do remember going through airport security with a fair amount of trepidation, is all I can call it. My palms were sweaty. I wanted to get this microwave through. I had my husband George on standby that said to me, if they stop me as it goes through the x-ray machine, I didn't want to know what they were going to tell me. And if they stop me, he said he's going to be there so he can actually take it and take it back home. And I sat there, and as I saw my bag, you know, that conveyor belt that it goes on,
Yeah.
I saw my bag going past those flappy things in the front, and then it stopped. And my heart sank. You all know that feeling when your bag is the one that gets stopped. And you think, what have I put in there? Except now I knew exactly what I had put in. And the airport official or security called out and said, whose bag is this? And I thought, oh no, here we go. And I put up my hand gingerly and I said, it's mine. And he said, is it okay if we put it in sideways? And I thought, oh, thank you, Lord, let that be the issue. No, I said, that's perfectly fine. It came through the other end, and it wasn't even one of those bags. You know, when they choose your bag and your bag gets shifted over to the side?
Yeah, that's always a bit of a thing where you're like, why are they choosing my bag? I don't remember packing anything weird.
Exactly. And this bag wasn't even shifted. It went straight through. They all thanked me, and I couldn't believe it. I'd made it to the other side. Now, all I needed was to get this bag on the plane and to London and Tina's apartment, which seems fairly simple from here on.
Yeah, simple.
I remember my jubilation when I passed security, and I called George up, who was on the other side, saying, babes, you can go home. I've made it. And he said to me, you know what you should actually do? You should buy yourself something like a cinnamon bun. And he said, put this microwave on your tray table during the flight and make the dinging noise. And open up the door and let everyone think that you've managed to heat your cinnamon bun in the microwave.
Ha ha, very funny.
I think that was very funny, but I didn't try that. I confidently got onto the aeroplane and navigated the next most difficult thing that anyone experiences when getting on a plane, finding overhead space. And my bag was a slightly odd shape, and I couldn't have this microwave being flung around because nothing was going to leak from my door or no one was going to get radiation from this particular microwave. And I was looking for overhead space. And it is your heart sinks when you get to your seat and you open up those overhead bins and there isn't enough space for your item. And the air hostess came past and looked at me and said, can I take this to the back because there's space? And I said, no, you can't. She looked at me weirdly and she said, why not? And I had no idea what to say except the truth. I said, because it's a microwave. And somehow she had the sense of humor and said to me, ha ha, if it's a microwave, then it should go in business class. And I thought, ooh, thank you. And she took my microwave and put it near the front of the plane, which was perfect for me. Well, she didn't do it by herself. I helped her because it was a bit heavy to lift overhead.
I think microwaves are known for being a bit heavy.
Yes, it's usually, especially if you hold them over your head. Anyone that wants good gym moves, if you like hold a microwave above your head and you do a couple of lunges, I think you can actually get a good body out of it. Right. And then the rest of the flight went as planned. We arrived in London. I was really, really happy. I guarded my precious cargo. And then I was carrying a suitcase. I had this giant bag because I wasn't only taking the microwave, I was taking anything else I could that would help Tina out. So everything went smoothly. Things were going according to plan. I was now in London. I'd even made it on and off a few undergrounds and a few escalators, and everything was going smoothly. I was so excited until I got to my final hurdle. It's almost like when you're running a marathon, that last bit, like when you're in the stadium. I was on my last escalator. And this particular escalator is known to be the longest, deepest escalator in London. But I thought, I've handled airport security. I can handle this. And I went on with all my heavy bags and my microwave and got myself on the escalator. And I really, really felt proud of myself. I felt like I had accomplished something. So there I was going up London's longest escalator. And I must admit, my luggage was sort of in the way. And I wasn't following the exact rule of you've got to stand. I've never figured it out. Do you stand on the left or do you stand on the right?
You stand where the other people are standing.
I know, but it's weird because you should theoretically, if you drive on the left, stand on the left. And if you want to overtake on the right. That would make sense because they drive on the left in
No,
London.
you know, it also makes sense.
Uh-huh.
Seeing everyone standing on the right and following what they're doing.
Okay, well, for me, I got on the only way I could get on, which is drag my stuff, and wherever I stand and I'm balanced, I don't move. And in this particular instance, I wasn't following the London way and the rule. I was on the wrong side. And you get these very impatient people, which I've learned my lesson subsequently. If they're impatient and I'm carrying microwaves up an escalator, it's too bad. Unless they tell me it's an emergency, they are going to have to wait. I'm sorry, guys. But this time was the first time I had experienced this. It was my first time going up with a microwave. And this person came past me on the side and said, "Excuse me, will you please shift?" And I shifted. And I shifted myself, and I shifted the bag, and I shifted the microwave. And suddenly our center of gravity had changed. And the whole thing tipped. It tipped on me, and the weight of the bag and the microwave and my handbag were just too much for me. So I fell backwards.
Oh, Mom.
It was a busy escalator, Jo. So I fell backwards, and I fell on top of another person behind me who fell on top of another person who fell.
Human dominoes, basically.
It was human dominoes, but thank goodness not all the way down. There were only about 5 of us that fell over.
Only 5?
Only 5. So I was lying on top of someone, and thank the Lord it happened on this particular escalator, because there was time to get everybody upright, and we still had to wait a minute before we reached the top.
I mean, who's trying to rush on that escalator anyway? It's going to be long whether you're walking or standing still.
Exactly. I was just grateful that no one behind me was hurt. I mean, my elbows were bruised. I don't know if I had banged them. I was hoping that I banged them against the escalator, not the microwave, because I wouldn't want anything to leak from there. But my elbows were bruised. My back hurt. I felt so guilty to have knocked down all those people. It reminded me of that awful video that was once circulating of someone throwing a suitcase down an escalator and knocking a lady off her feet. And this was me and my microwave knocking.
I've never heard of or seen that video in my life.
Okay, good thing don't see it. It's actually very upsetting. If anyone has seen it, you put a comment out there. So to cut a long story short, the microwave got to Tina's house safely. And now you can understand clearly that when we're in Ireland and Nikhil calls nonchalantly and says, "Oh, Tina, your microwave has stopped working," it like cut me to the core.
Oh no, not the core. Yeah, Mom, you know what? I remember when you took that journey with the microwave and hearing the story again and your plight of the escalator and security just makes me think that Tina should really, really appreciate you for all that you've done.
Yes, Tina, I'm putting that out there. I hope you think I'm the best mom ever. I know you do. And I just want to tell everyone that nobody got radiated by this microwave, thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
I'm glad it stopped working the way it did without causing any trouble. And my real delight was when I went online to find out that in the years that she's had this microwave in her flat, the prices of microwaves have come down. I think what must have happened is air fryers flooded the market, and now not everybody is buying a microwave. And so the price of microwaves have come down, and I think the next microwave Tina gets will be one that I will buy in London and ask them to deliver it to her.
No perilous journey required. And going from that, Mom, what are the lessons that we've learned from this story?
Well, Jo, firstly, I would say definitely perseverance pays off. Another lesson that I've learned specifically is you stand on the right side of the escalator when you're in London, and you let people overtake you on the left, even though it's counterintuitive. I'm putting it out there. And every grey cloud, couch, or microwave always has a silver lining. And last but not least, whenever you're buying something off Facebook Marketplace, especially if it is a big item, just check the location first and see how far it is from where you're taking it to.
And bring a friend with you for support.
Good one, Jo.
Those are some good lessons, Mom. But on that note, should we move on to what we're grateful for?
Okay, well, I'm grateful for great friends and honorary family members. Thanks, Nikhil.
I'm grateful for Facebook Marketplace.
I'm grateful for long escalators and the fact that I survived the tail and didn't kill anyone else in the process.
And I'm grateful for kind acts from strangers.
That really is a good one. But finally, something a bit less profound. I'm so glad that after all that effort, that microwave lasted for a couple of years before it packed up.
I'm also grateful. And on that note, thank you for listening.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode.
If you're not subscribed yet, firstly, why? Secondly, go subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube, whichever platform you're using to listen to us right now.
Please do.
We really appreciate you all.
Yes, we do.
And make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for any updates. And tune in next week again for another episode of Mondays with Mom. Thanks. Bye.